Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you this evening. My name is Marla Palacios. I'm the Director of Transportation for Washington Township Schools. And today I'm going to be talking about our 2023-2024 school hours and transportation planning. Our goals for our 23-24 routing are obviously one, to improve on-time bus arrival and dismissal for the school day. We want to eliminate 1+1 routes. What is a 1+1? A 1+1 is when a driver picks up one route, drops their students off, then goes back and picks up the next route, and then drops those students off. It could be before school, it could be after school. We also want to employ additional drivers. More routes equals less time students are on a bus. And then we also want to have a pool of sub-drivers. That would be for coverage when regular drivers are absent. So instead of having to run a 1+1, if we have some sub-drivers, they can cover that route. Also, we want to conduct routing with actual current number of drivers employed versus the optimal number of drivers as used in the past. We still have a bus driver shortage, and this is actually a nationwide shortage. So again, less drivers means longer bus routes. Before school hours are addressed, we'll analyze our current bus driver shortage, and a large factor in the changes for the 23-24 school year is based on the bus driver shortage. So optimal number of bus drivers would be 115, and that was the number used when routing for the 22-23 school year. At the end of the 21-22 school year, we had about 90 to 95 drivers. Currently, we have 84 drivers. So again, when we will route with the current number of drivers that we have. A bus driver staffing analysis was conducted. Since last school year, the end of last school year, end of May 2022 through February 7th of 23, we have lost 28 drivers. We have had them lost drivers for a variety of reasons. Here we have the analysis. We had a resignation due to an out-of-state move. We have 3 retired. 1 resigned to take on a different career opportunity. 3 resignations due to illness or to caretake for a loved one. 6 resigned for unknown reasons. 4 resigned due to culture of department, stressful routes, management, treatment by other drivers. 2 were transferred from bus drivers to bus assistant positions. And there were 8 terminations due to violations of the bus driver handbook, which also includes job abandonment. So although we have lost 28 drivers since the end of May, we have also hired on 15 new drivers at various times throughout the school year. Our current transportation staffing analysis, leadership, currently there are 2, 0 are needed. Office staff, we have 6. We're still trying to fill 2 positions. A recommendation has been submitted for 1 of those positions. Mechanics, we have 5. We need an additional 2. Again, we have already submitted a recommendation to hire for 1 of those positions. Bus drivers, we have 84. We would really like about 31 more. Bus assistants, we have 31 assistants. 4 of them are actually in CDL training. So once they do earn their CDL, they'll move from being a bus assistant to a bus driver. But we could still use 8. And then we currently do not have any bus driver substitutes. So we would really like to hit a goal of 10 substitute drivers. Our bus driver recruitment and retention, the strategies and work environment, what we've done to try to attract drivers. We've broadly posted job openings, attended job fairs, implemented bus driver advisory groups, focus groups, and listening sessions. We've implemented differentiated professional development plan that extends through the year with topics selected based on driver feedback. We actually will have one coming up March 1st. We've improved application of the bus driver handbook protocols consistently. Transportation leadership provides treats, meals, appreciation gifts, and social gatherings for staff. We've implemented bus driver appreciation efforts at each school. The PTOs at each school have been great in assisting us with that. We've established office hours for bus drivers to meet with transportation department leadership. And we've also implemented a process for driver feedback to improve areas of concern. Compensation for drivers. Recently, in the last 3 years, the largest raises in the history of the district, the third highest driver pay in Marion County. We've worked to reduce the cost of health and dental insurance. We've added semester attendance bonus stipends, plus additional bonus in the fall. We had additional hourly pay during fall complex routing. We offer training stipend for new applicants, non-CDL holders that have their permits. We also offer training stipend for new applicants that already do hold CDLs. We reimburse the bus drivers for CDL testing fees. We also offer an employee referral bonus, which was doubled to $1,000 per referral, was previously $500. And we offer annual milestone bonuses for 5, 10, and 15 plus years of service, and accident-free rewards as well. What is required time between tiers for on-time busing in light of the bus driver shortage? When we talk about time between tiers, that means time between the schools starting. So from elementary to high school, and then high school to middle school. Currently, this school year in the AM, there's about 40 to 55 minutes in between tiers from elementary to high school. There's a broader range there because, as you know, second semester, we had to make some changes in which 18 buses were dropping off at 7:15 at the elementary school so that they could begin their high school routes earlier to ensure that they were on time to the high school. We had 35 to 55 again from the high school to the middle school. Again, varied. The driver shortage created a bit bigger of a window, including with the routing this year. In the PM, there are about 40 minutes between elementary to high school, then 35 minutes from high school to middle school. What we need for the 23-24 school year, and we're going to talk about unload time. So from unload time to unload time, we need 60 minutes in the AM, and in the PM, we'll talk about load time. That's the time that the students leave school at the end of the day and they start getting on the bus, getting ready to go. That's your load time. And in the PM, we also require 60 minutes. How do we know that this is the time that we need? We've had on-site Transporta, and that is a transportation professional services consultants. We know this from feedback from Washington Township routers, Washington Township bus driver advisory groups, and also Washington Township transportation leadership. We have seen that we need that additional time in between tiers. Additional requirements for transportation criteria needed for the following school year. AM bus arrival time, 5 minutes prior to unloading. That's the time, that's what we call slot time. That's when drivers are scheduled to be in their slots, parked, waiting to unload their students. For the AM, again, elementary schools, we will unload 20 minutes prior to the start of the day, high school 15 minutes to the start of their day, and middle school 10 minutes prior to that start bell. And then the buses should be departing 5 minutes after unloading students to start their next tier. In the PM, buses, the goal is to arrive 5 minutes before the end of the day bell. And then we have a 10-minute loading period beginning at when the bell rings. And then all buses should depart from campuses after that 10-minute period. A middle school must be our last tier. Why? Because it requires less drivers than the elementary school and the high school. That also allows us to have some drivers that are also available then for different after-school events such as athletics, so our athletes can board and make their way to a competition. Our routing timeline summary. February, begin rerouting for the 23-24 school year. That has begun. In April, we should have our first round of our new 23-24 routes. Also, driver dry runs and feedback. What is a dry run? That means when we run the route without students on board, but we still make all of the stops. This will give us the opportunity to start tweaking, making sure that the stops are safe, that we're not going into dead-end streets, etc. In May, we'll be transferring our student information for the 23-24 year to our routing software. In June, we should have our route packages ready for viewing, and again, additional feedback from drivers. In July is our route package bid selections for drivers by areas with backups assigned. And again, I'm in conversations with our driver advisory group asking for feedback regarding the bidding process. And then July, our final dry runs for the drivers. So, and we will also continue to work on site with our professional consultant through the first month of the 23-24 school year. So, changes to the elementary school. Here you can see what we currently have. 7:50 start time, 2:35 end time, a 6-hour and 45-minute instructional day. What we will have for the 23-24 school year is a 7:40 start time with a 2:25 end time, and we are still able to keep a 6-hour and 45-minute instructional day. So what you're seeing is basically a breakdown of when buses arrive this year as compared to next year, the unloading time, bus departures, the time between tiers, again, both AM and PM. And I'll give everyone just a second to look that over. Our implications and rationale for the elementary school. Well, currently, our school bus arrival and parent drop-off is scheduled to begin at 7:30. In many buildings, multiple school buses are releasing students as early as 7:15, so they can run an additional elementary route to begin their high school route. Again, we know that this is occurring at 4 elementary schools, and we have about 18 buses that are doing so. This means students released by these buses are in the buildings by 7:20, 7:25, and the majority of their peers are in the school by 7:35, 7:40. This 10-minute start time change represents a minor adjustment to what morning bus riders are currently experiencing, and the car drop-off shifts just 10 minutes earlier. Our elementary school's breakfast and lunch procedures and schedules will need to be balanced due to child nutrition staffing hour limitations, and we have been in conversations with child nutrition on that. Our changes to the high school hours. Currently, we have an 8:30 start time and a 3:30 end time for a 7-hour instructional day. Next year, we will begin at 8:35 and we will end at 3:25 for a 6-hour and 50-minute instructional day. And again, I'll give everyone just a moment to take a look at this chart. The implications and rationale for high school. The length of instructional day will decrease by 10 minutes, resulting in a 1-minute reduction to the length of an instructional period. We move the start time back 5 minutes and the end time up 5 minutes. We still maintain the initial recommendations based on sleep patterns of adolescents, and this should also significantly reduce time staff is spending supervising students for extended periods of time after school. And it will also allow us to maintain momentum with professional learning communities, which we know as our PLC work. Our middle school, currently we have a 9:20 start time, a 4:20 end time for a 7-hour instructional day. Next year, 9:30 start time, 4:25 end time for a 6-hour and 55-minute instructional day. The implications and rationale for the middle school. Move the start time back 10 minutes and the end time back 5 minutes, resulting in a school day that is 5 minutes shorter, but due to the change in the middle school schedule, instructional time should not be adversely impacted. We still maintain the initial recommendations based on sleep patterns of adolescents. And again, we should significantly reduce time staff is spending supervising students for extended periods of time. Why is board approval not needed to modify the school hours within the current tiers? On March 23rd, 2022, the school board approved the following. Approval of district leadership flexibility to consider slight modifications within the current tiers to school hours only beyond the 2022-2023 school year as we continue our routing efficiency analysis work into this upcoming school year without requiring board approval for the changes. Staff family communications plan and educational webinar for the 23-24 hours. We are conducting the webinar currently. That was our first step so that we can inform families and staff about the school hour changes. In April, again, we'll send out reminders to Washington Township staff and families, just an update in routing. In April, May-ish, we'll announce approximate bus stop time ranges. We cannot do that until we finish our initial round of routing so we can get approximate times. Finalized times will not come until July, but we're working on an approximate bus pickup times. In July, we'll update staff and families on the 23-24 school year bus routing and when bus information will be available for viewing. And then also in July, we'll communicate with families to access Versatrans schedules beginning mid-July. Implications if we're able to hire and retain more bus drivers. Shorter bus routes for students. The more drivers we have, the more we can shorten bus routes. Elimination of 1+1 routes unless due to driver absence and no sub available. More support to after-school bus needs. For example, the late bus, activity bus, athletic bus, etc. As a reminder, these are voluntary routes. They're extra. It is not part of a driver's regular day. We also want to grow a pool of bus driver substitutes to lessen driver absence impact on routes. Possible less time between tiers needed for school hours planning in the future, which may mean we could add time back to the instructional day. Additional time prior to instructional day at secondary level for breakfast, etc. And significant reduction in bus route changes experienced by families. And then here is what I've discussed on a one-pager, so to speak. The school by level, the school day times. Here we've also included the preschool. Again, approximate bus stop time ranges. We have to wait until we finish that first round of busing. Also, when approximately would be the AM parent drop-off for folks, for families. And then for late buses, right now, the elementary schools will not receive a late bus. In middle school and high school, we're working on one late bus. However, we will know late spring, again, early summer, what that time frame will be based on the length of the routes. So there you have it, folks. I'll leave this screen on for just a second. Okay. I don't see at this time if there are any questions. We have that function set up for folks that would like to ask questions. They can do so now. And I don't see any questions coming in. Again, if we don't have any questions coming in, I do thank you for joining us tonight. We will certainly keep everyone posted as far as our communication timeline as to routing for the next school year. Again, we do thank everyone, and we'll stay on a couple minutes longer here just in case there are some questions. All right. Well, thank you again, folks. I hope you enjoy the remainder of your evening. Have a good night.